Hey guys, I'm back. I felt so bad. I broke my streak. I was doing a video every day. And then yesterday it all fell apart. And I hate to make excuses, but yeah, I had eye surgery on my left eye. And there was a little bit more complications even than the right eye. Don't worry, I think I'll be fine. But I was zonked out because of the anesthesia and I really couldn't see well with everything. In fact, now I'm still trying to see stuff here. So bear with me, bear with me. It should improve every day. In fact, today it's got a lot better than it was yesterday. But yesterday, I feel bad for my Substack people. I had to cancel my roundtable and I couldn't do a video. But I am back and I hope to be back on track here. By next week, I should be good to go. So that was the reason. But today is September 3rd, Wednesday. I think it's the 3rd. I can't see my computer well enough to determine if it's the 3rd, but I think it is. And if you're new to the show, thank you for watching. I do this every day, unless there's something major that comes up, like I have surgery, I do the show. And I go over the top 5 news items of the day. So let's get into it. And, there's been a lot of downer news recently. So I thought, you just can't do it all negative. You got to have some stuff that is a little bit lighter. So I got to raise my glasses. I'm trying to protect my eyes, but I got to see better without my glasses. So here we go. This story is there became this whole
something completely different.
There became this whole meme the last couple of days that Donald Trump had died. And well, let's listen to this here.
But about a big viral social media trend over the weekend. How did you find out over the weekend that you were dead? You see that?
No.
People didn't see you for a couple days. 1.3 million user engagements as of Saturday morning about your demise.
Really?
You didn't see that?
I have heard, it's sort of crazy, but last week I did numerous news conferences, all successful. They went very well, like this is going very well. And then I didn't do any for 2 days, and they said there must be something wrong with him. Biden wouldn't do him for months. You wouldn't see him. And nobody ever said there was ever anything wrong with him, and we know he wasn't in the greatest of shape. No, I heard that. I get reports. Now, you knew I did an interview that lasted for about an hour and a half with somebody, and everybody saw that was on one of your competitors.
Something completely different.
Yeah, this was I think really a forced meme from the left. And the left isn't very creative. They can't really meme well, but they got in their idea. Wait a minute, the MAGA people were making fun of Biden for having Alzheimer's and being close to death. Let's do the same with Trump. That was their idea. I mean, they're both old, right? Okay, but the problem is Biden did disappear. He didn't do press conferences. They kept him away from the public. When he did a press conference, he had to look at his answers. He didn't do what Trump is doing now. And I'm not saying Trump is as sharp as he was when he was 50 years old, but for a 79-year-old man, he seems pretty damn active and sharp. Again, he went to Alaska, saw Putin. That week, he flew back to Washington, D.C. to meet Zelensky and all those other follower on the Europeans. And he had to deal with them. And all this without a script. And he's done multiple television interviews. When he does interviews, he doesn't have a script. People ask him questions, he answers. And given that, I don't really see anything wrong with the guy. The guy has like an amazing schedule. It would exhaust me at my age. And this guy's 79 years old. So he takes a day off. And on his day off, it's not like he's sleeping like Joe Biden or eating ice cream. He's playing golf. Big deal. But they decided to push this meme. And there was a couple other things. I guess he has a bruise on his hand. And his ankles are swollen. But he's 79 years old. Have you ever been around old people? They always have bruises on their hands or whatever. It's the aging process. It sucks, but that's the way it is. And yeah, no, he's not like on top shape like he was 20, 30 years ago. But still, he's doing a good job. And once you get to be 80, you only got a 50% chance of making it to 80 anyway in America. So if you're an American male, you have about a 50% chance to make it to 80. and then only a 20% chance to make it to 90, and a 1% chance to make it to 100. So once you get to be about 80, it really goes downhill fast. I think 80 is when your body's like, okay, I'm going to start shutting down. And then you start to break down. I hate to be morbid, but my father died at 88. My grandmother made it to 97, but even in the 80s, she started to break down some. That's the way it is. So will Trump defy that? No, I don't think so. Eventually in his 80s, he's going to break down like everyone else does. But at this moment, I really don't see it being a huge issue. But because, again, MAGA did that against Biden, the left says, oh, we can do the same thing with Trump. It's just ridiculous. All right. The other big news story that's going on here, and we'll take a look at this, has to do with, it looks like we may get into another war. And I'm like, well, we always got to get into a war somewhere. That's what we do as Americans. So let's listen to this one here. All right.
The United States has long, for many, many years, established intelligence that allow us to interdict and stop drug boats. And we did that. And it doesn't work. Interdiction doesn't work because these drug cartels, what they do is they know they're going to lose, 2% of their cargo. They bake it into their economics. What will stop them is when you blow them up, when you get rid of them. The President of the United States is going to wage war on narco-terrorist organizations. This one was operating in international waters, headed towards the United States to flood our country with poison. And under President Trump, those days are over.
And it wasn't a one-off. Rubio says strikes like these will happen again.
The United States has long, for many, many years, established intelligence that allow us to.
So that's basically it. The United States attacked a Venezuelan boat that was supposedly full of drugs. And Rubio said, well, if we just interdict it and arrest them, they don't care because they bake that into the equation. Well, to be fair, they could bake this into the equation, right? They pay some poor saps to try to smuggle the drugs. And if some get killed, I don't think they're going to shed a lot of tears about it. It's like, oh, there's Juan drowned. Oh, well, and they get another one, right? There's Pablo. Let's get Pablo. So I don't really think they care that much about that. It's a show of force, and I'm not necessarily against it, but I'm skeptical how effective it will really be long term. A lot of things that Trump is doing now are good short term, but what are you going to do long term? For example, the whole issue with crime out of control in Washington, D.C., and I guess now Chicago. He wants to bring troops to Chicago. And that will work while the federal troops are there. But what's the strategy? Keep them there forever? No. Eventually they'll move out, and then the same people live there, the same demographics, and they're going to revert back to their original behavior. So it's not really solving the root cause there. And the same with these drug interdictions where you blow up the ship. It's kind of cool. And I'm not shedding any tears over these guys. But again, how long do we do this? It's expensive to have the ships there. And we have some cool photo ops of blowing up ships. Okay, that's good. But, that's not going to stop them. They're going to keep doing it. And once we leave, they'll just continue to do business as usual. So it's a good PR move. But I question how effective it really will be long term. So that was the number 2 story, is getting involved with Venezuela. I don't think we're going to invade Venezuela, but we're going to try to blow up ships that we think are smuggling drugs here. All right, let's look at another story. This is the 3rd story that shows how totalitarian Britain has become. This even shocked me to a large degree here. And this was an arrest. And right here, this comedian, he's an Irish comedian. He made a couple of jokes on X, what used to be called Twitter, and about transgender people, I don't know, whatever. And his crime, because he had these 3 general critical tweets, again, they were jokes. The whole thing is a joke, by the way, transgender. but he got arrested for that. And they showed up with 5 policemen to arrest him at the airport for making a joke. And this is the state of Britain right now. And if not for the First Amendment, and if Kamala Harris was president, this is what would be happening in the United States. And it's interesting. So there's certain things you can do. You can not even joke. You can say you want to eliminate all white people. In Britain, they'll permit that. They're not going to arrest you. But you make a joke. I think you made a joke about some transgender in the woman's locker room. And if they bug you, just kick them in the balls. I think that was his joke. And so he got arrested for that with 5 police officers. And Britain is no longer a free country. They're trying to oppose this cultural Marxism on the country, replace the people. Any objections, they throw you in jail, not the people that are doing the real crimes. So, yeah, that is what is happening there. All right. I mentioned Chicago, and crime rate has gone down in D.C. because of the federal troops there. And Chicago every year, every weekend, there's like 40, 50 people killed. Very savage place. The civilization has broke down. And so Trump is like, okay, we got to go in there and try to stop that. So let's take a look at some of the reaction. And this is the mayor of Chicago. And you think the mayor would be embarrassed that he can't provide the basic functions of a society, which is to protect his citizens against murder. But let's listen to what his response here.
To defend this land that was built by slaves.
First of all, land wasn't built by slaves, unless you're trying to say that. You could say that America was built by mules because we used a lot of mules, but they didn't do any of the ingenuity to actually build, engineer, or create the country. Most slaves were in the South. They were used for picking cotton. And in the North, they did some basic manual labor, but they were given directions. They didn't build the country. That's a ridiculous lie. Obviously, because they can't build it in Africa. They never built anything there.
Land that was built by indigenous people, a land that...
No, Indians, they didn't build anything. They were basically in the Stone Age, hunters and gatherers. That's how they didn't have cities or anything like that.
Is built by workers. Are you prepared to defend this land? The people united will always prevail. I need you all to stand firm, to stand strong. If this president decides to continue to break this constitution.
So he's mad because they're going to send federal troops there to protect people and arrest murderers. And because he can't govern. And that's, again, the fundamental problem, that while these federal troops, they're kind of a short-term solution, but long-term, they're not going to fix anything because the demographics are going to vote for a black guy no matter what. And once you bring the police out or the federal troops, they're just going to revert back to killing each other by the scores every week. I mean, there's nothing, unless you remove the people, did like ethnic cleansing, which most people don't, it's not like we're Israel where we can do that. So that's probably not going to happen. The other option is to have a really strict police force that you really get on people. But then people start to say, oh, this feels like a police state. Well, with those type of people, you need to have basically a police state to have civilization. In other areas like where I live, you don't need hardly any police. You don't have to lock things up because people have a code of honor. The people there, they have no honor, very violent. The only way you can control them is to basically have a police state. Or you can do what we've been doing under Biden and just ignore it and allow them to shoot and kill each other and turn it into, a wild jungle. And Trump's point of view is, no, this isn't America. We shouldn't have savage jungles in our major cities. No, you got to act like civilized people. So this is his response. And I get it, but I'm just questioning, is this something that for long term will work? And what's the long-term goal? And let me take a look at Trump he spoke about this. Let's just take a look at this here.
on Chicago, though?
Well, we're going in. I didn't say when, we're going in. When you lose, look, I have an obligation. This isn't a political thing. I have an obligation. When we lose, when 20 people are killed over the last 2.5 weeks and 75 are shot with bullets. So let me tell you a little story about a place called DC, District of Columbia, right here where we are. It's now a safe zone. We have no crime. It's in such great shape. You can go and actually walk with your children, your wife, your husband. You can walk right down the middle of the street. You're not going to be shot, Peter. You're safe. Everyone likes you anyway. They probably wouldn't do it. But it's so dangerous. And there are people in this audience that you've suffered greatly. There are people in this audience that have been mugged and hurt badly, and they don't want to talk about it. Maybe you were very brave in talking about it. You made quite an impression on a lot of people. I appreciate it. But there were other people in this room that have been hurt very badly just walking down the street in D.C. Washington, D.C. is a safe zone right now. It's a safe city. The restaurants are open. They're booming. You can't get a...
And before people say, well, we got to have gun control. But again, I live in an area of the country, everyone, I think almost literally everyone owns a gun, and there's almost no gun crime. There really isn't. We don't really have a gun problem. We have a demographics problem.
New restaurants are announcing that they're going to be open. This took place in 12 days. Now it's 15 days, but 3 days ago, it became what's known as a safe zone, as a safe city. And this city was really bad. Really, really bad. We took 1,600 people out, hardcore criminals that will not be coming back anytime soon. And we're very proud of it. You know, to have our nation's capital lose every week, you know, it was like years, many years where every single week somebody was killed for many.
Yeah, there was always updates. The weekend killing in Chicago, for example, or Washington, D.C.
Many consecutive weeks. This went on for years.
So that was Trump's response. And number one, if you look at him, he doesn't seem like he's almost dead. He's articulate. He's speaking well. I don't see the issue there. And I understand what he's saying, because this is the first duty of government, is to provide protection. That's what the government basic duty is. And in certain cities, they haven't done that for a variety of reasons, mostly because of racial, because a lot of these criminals are black. And if you arrest these criminals, they say, oh, you're throwing blacks in jail. Black lives matter. We got to let them free. Okay, you let them free. You have violent cities where people are dying. So, you know, the whole George Floyd effect of letting all the criminals out, I don't think people are really too keen on that idea anymore. They want to see criminals back in jail. Even the black community, they don't want to be preyed upon by black criminals. And it may not be politically correct to say, but most of these muggers and carjackers, I would say almost 100% are black, or there's some maybe Latino, almost zero are white, almost zero. So that is a problem. And hopefully that can be resolved. So again, this is a good short-term solution, but we need a long-term solution. And there's just certain areas with a certain demographic, they just require a heavy police presence and get the troublemakers off the streets right away. All right. Number 5 is that Trump was going to have a big announcement. I remember the other day, and everyone was like, what is it? Are we going to war with Venezuela? Or what is it? Is there some major thing? Trump's always a showman. And it was something that was sort of like, well, okay, I guess. I mean, it's okay. Let me just show you this here. This was a response. Breaking: President Trump is reversing the Biden era decision and will relocate the Space Force Command headquarters from Colorado to Alabama. And a lot of people were saying it made more sense in Alabama because what we have of our defense industry isn't more in Alabama. Biden just put it into Colorado because Colorado, sadly, it wasn't the case when I lived there, but sadly, it's now a blue state. So, and there could be some of that politics too, but the Space Command is going to be in Alabama. Now, the fact that we can't get into space anymore is more of a pressing concern, right? But, assuming if we had the technology to get back into space, I guess this would be an issue. Hopefully someday we will get there, but it's not looking good for America right now, especially when you compare us now to like Russia and China. They have so much industry and factories. China, my God, they have all these big infrastructure projects and they finish these projects fast. Whereas in the United States, we spend billions of dollars. We have all these environmental impact studies. We have lawyers suing. We have DEI to make it look good, and they can't do the job. So everything's a mess. So you have the situation like in California where they spend like $14 billion and they weren't able to make any track on the high-speed train. So right now in America, sadly, we don't have the competence to go back into space or anything like that. But it'd be nice to think that maybe one day we could, but there's got to be a lot of fundamental changes. And to be fair, Trump is trying to implement these changes, but we can't revert back. So that's why in 2028, we need to have someone like Trump come in again, whether it's JD Vance or someone else. We need that. Otherwise, it's just going to revert back. The borders will be open again. We'll have DEI and the nation will continue to crumble. That's why I get so frustrated when people, isn't Gavin Newsom a Chad? We should vote for him over the weirdo JD Vance. When Gavin Newsom, if you implement his policies, will utterly destroy this country. It's real frustrating. I kind of wonder about those people if they're honest or if they're controlled or what they're doing. But it's just a sad situation. But right now, if we ever did have the ability to get back to space, to have a space command, the headquarters now will be in Alabama versus Colorado Springs. All right, let me just peek and give you the rundown of the stories we had today. The number one story, it's just kind of a fun one, is Trump rises from the dead. He's not dead after all. Number two, the U.S. forces strike a Venezuelan drug boat. Number three, a comedian was arrested in Britain for making a transgender joke on X. Number four, the Chicago mayor is upset that federal troops are coming into his city to restore order. And number five, the Space Force headquarters has moved from Colorado Springs to Alabama. And thank you guys for being here. It's good to bounce back after that streak. I hope to start a new streak, health permitting. But again, I should be done with everything with my eyes. I got the glaucoma stents in. I got my cataracts removed. I just need to have them healed now. So thanks a lot, guys. And I will talk to you later.